Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. I, 28 female, have two younger siblings, male 24, female 13. My brother is married and has a 2-year-old daughter. My parents and sister live in the same city as my brother. I live in a different city a few hours away. In the last few months, my sister has been complaining that my brother invites her to his family outings only to use her as a babysitter for our niece. He's asked her to restaurants or parks and made her watch the child while he and sister-in-law enjoy themselves. She decided to stop going out with them, and our parents supported her, even talking to my brother about it. Despite their talk, my brother didn't take it seriously. He wanted my sister to join a road trip. It was like a 3-day, 2-night kind of thing, leaving on a Sunday, coming back on Tuesday. My sister didn't want to go, and my parents said no anyway because she would miss 2 days of school. Keep in mind, in our side of the world, it's not summer and kids are in school here. Last Sunday, when our parents were at church, my brother showed up at our house and told my sister to get in the car because they were going on the road trip. She said she didn't want to go, but he insisted, and they both, sister-in-law and brother, made her get in the car. When she was in the car, my sister texted me and told me the whole thing. She texted my parents too, but she didn't think they would be reading her messages anytime soon because they were in the Sunday service. So I called my brother. I reminded him that our parents had said no, and my sister didn't want to go anyway, so he better turn that car and drop my sister back home. He dismissed me, claiming I was not the boss of him. I asked him if he knew that what he did is kidnapping, and I warned that I would totally call the police if he didn't return my sister home right away. He laughed it off and hung up, so I called the police. The police found them quickly since they hadn't even left the city yet. Our parents didn't press charges, and the whole thing was dropped quite easily and quickly. My parents are furious at my brother, of course, but they're divided about what I did. My mom is angry at me for involving the police. She agrees my brother was wrong and that I had limited options since I'm in a different city, but she thinks I went too far, especially because my 2-year-old niece was in the car too, and it must have been a scary situation for her. She believes that if I had waited for them to get out of Sunday service, she could have talked to my brother and convinced him to drop my sister back home. She said in the half an hour it would have taken them to be out of Sunday service, my brother wouldn't even have left the city yet since traffic was horrible. My father thinks it was great since I probably scared my brother into never taking my sister without permission again, and said this should teach my brother a lesson. So Reddit, am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead, and your mom needs to bloody well open her eyes. Your brother is using your sister, going so far as to kidnap her, and she thinks calling the cops was bad? Hell, I would have pressed charges if my son pulled a stunt like that. No more unsupervised visit with the sister. And your dad needs to talk some sense into your mom. Not the bonehead. Tell your sister that it's okay for her to call 911 too. And next time he leaves his kid with her, she can call the police for abandonment of a child. Not the bonehead. Drama aside, it's not a laughing matter to take a kid away forcefully for your own personal needs, especially if you're not the primary guardian or caretaker. And if the brother was told no several times, then yeah, calling the police on someone who is not getting the message and crosses the line there warrants this. Not the bonehead. He took a minor against her will without the permission of the minor's parents. That is kidnapping. You called the police and reported a crime because he committed a crime. Remind your sister that if he tries it again, that she can contact the police also. This story has a lot of backstory and context, some of which I'll have to leave out over the character limit, but please don't be afraid to ask. So in early June, I came home from spending the week at my dad's house, which is also home, to find my room completely empty of anything rather than the bare basics. It was the same with my closet and bathroom, literally just the bare essentials, so I freaked out and went looking for my mom. She was sitting at the kitchen table, silent for a moment before she told me to sit down. We had to have a conversation. Well, apparently she sold a lot of my stuff, and anything that she couldn't sell, she threw away. I screamed at her, asking why the F would she do that? She screamed back at me to shut my evil mouth, and my punishment hadn't even begun due to my cruel bullying and slut-shaming. I was confused and asked her to repeat herself because I hadn't bullied anyone. Apparently, a girl who I used to be close friends with, Cassie, was being badly bullied for being pregnant by my friend group to the point she made a TikTok exposing what was going on. Now, I saw her post myself. Nowhere did it mention me. It was mostly about her ex-best friend Maddie and Maddie's boyfriend. So I asked my mom where I fit into this. So apparently my stepsister Lexi told her I was involved and she had heard Cassie mention me, even witnessed the bullying herself. So I told her to get her boyfriend and his daughter so we can prove it out because I distanced myself from both girls and most of that friend group months ago because of all the drama even before Cassie got pregnant. Lexi was away with her dad conveniently. So I said, okay, if that's what she wants to believe, I'd apologize to Cassie, but my dad also had to be there. And big shock, when I went to Cassie's house, Cassie said I didn't do anything to her. I went back to my dad's house and haven't spoken to my mom since. Well, today she showed and begged me to talk to her, saying how I was her daughter and she loved me. I asked her what about her new daughter Lexi. She said Lexi was struggling with her mental health back then and was looking for attention, but she's doing better now and feels really guilty. She also wants to apologize face to face. I said, okay, I'll go back if she throws out everything she owns, even her wedding dress. She's getting married in September. She looked shocked and told me she knew what she did was wrong and she'll forever try to make it up for the rest of her life, but what I was asking for was childish and cruel. I just stared at her and then she started ugly crying, so I walked away. I heard her and my dad talk for a while before she left. Now, mom's side is all mad at me because my mom's having a mental breakdown. Edit update. Lexi found this post and is upset over the comments. So is my mom, who is upset to the point that she told me she wished Lexi was her daughter and she wished I was the baby who passed away. To that, I said, Dad has you on record, so have fun paying child support. And my grandparents will change the will to leave everything to me because they're not paying for Lexi who isn't their blood. Also, Lexi, I'm telling everyone at school you're a furry who has a How to Be Popular board in your room with Maddie's picture on it. And if you're reading this, Mom, I don't care about you or your wedding. Dad is all I need in this world, not you. Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. Your mom stole your stuff, sold it, or threw it out based on a hearsay accusation. Never asked you about it, just assumed you were guilty. Refused to even consider you might be telling the truth when you denied the accusation. So now she wants back in your good graces. You put a very reasonable price on doing so. She refused. If she's having a breakdown, which I doubt, she brought it on herself. You have no fault in the matter. Not the bonehead. I'm guessing Lexi's punishment for what she actually did is far less than yours for something you didn't even do. Stay with your dad. Your mom doesn't deserve to have you in her life anymore. OP replied, I had to edit out this part because of character limits, but Lexi wasn't at home at the time because my mother gave her my birthday gift, a trip to the spa. My mom even laughed when I demanded Lexi back home to prove it out and asked me did I plan on bullying her too. And my mom even said she'd add to the long list of my punishments, which were a lot. But Lexi's punishment was she was sent to therapy because since her mom died, she can do no wrong in my mom's eyes. Not the bonehead, and you can stay with your dad. She can't make it up to you and she can't be trusted. Everyone at that house sounds manipulative with mental issues. Info. Did anyone, either your mother or her lying new daughter, start replacing all your possessions or reimbursing you so you can replace them? Or was it all just oops, my bad? OP replied, my dad demanded the money from them on the day because as one of my punishments was whatever my mom made for selling my stuff, I was going to give it to Cassie or a charity for teen parents, and my mom's boyfriend dropped over the replacement for my makeup and skincare. But there are a lot of things that can't be replaced due to how expensive they were or the sentimental value. When my mom died back in 2018, she left me and my siblings a decent chunk of money and her house. My siblings wanted to sell the house and split the money. I wanted to keep the house. It's a unique property with a pretty big lot in the middle of the city. The house is 4-3, there's a pretty awesome deck, and most importantly, not in an HOA. I had some sentimental attachment to it, but mostly I thought the house was better for my situation than a pile of cash. I asked them if I could buy them out. They were pretty excited about the idea. The house would stay in the family and they still get their cash. We got it appraised, hired an attorney, and went through with it. My portion of the inheritance and a chunk of my own savings were enough to cover their shares. As soon as it was done, me and my then fiancé moved in. We saved a bunch of rent because the house was paid for. The location was great, and we were really happy with the house. My brother burned through the cash in 2 years. He fancied himself an influencer. He bought a Maserati for cash, went to expensive nightclubs and vacationed in exotic places. Good for him, but money is gone. My sister and her husband bought a really expensive boat. Guess that's better. They did use it pretty often. My nephews love it. But from what I understand, her portion of the money is gone too. I got married and we had a son. We would host my siblings on holidays, and the Christmas before COVID, I started to notice it. They were making snide comments about how much the house must be worth now. Since 2018, we had an influx of people to my city. It's growing rapidly and the price of the house essentially tripled. We've had a bunch of all-cash offers on the house when we weren't thinking of selling. But this year, we decided to move. My wife was pregnant again, and we were going to relocate closer to her family. I talked to my boss, and he said the place we were moving to had an office that I could commute to on the days I work in the office. So we put the house on the market. It sold pretty quickly, and that's when the trouble started. Both of my siblings think that I owe it to them to split the profit I made, because it's only fair. We were in the middle of a move and house hunting in the new place, so I didn't really have time to go on about this. Well, it's been months, and they haven't stopped bothering about how I cheated them out of a portion of their inheritance, and I was being really selfish. They pointed out that the process of me buying them out was pretty smooth. We didn't have any problems or hiccups, and they did me a favor by not kicking up a fuss. Now they want to split the profit because it was their house too. This has become really toxic, and most of my family is on their side. My mom's sister says it would have broken her heart to see her kids fight like this, and I should split the money with my siblings. My dad's sister thinks I should buy them off so they shut up. Am I the bonehead for refusing to split the money? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. The fact that they didn't understand that you can either invest or spend an inheritance is not your problem. They chose to spend their inheritance while you chose to invest yours. Now that they've squandered theirs away, it's on them. Not the bonehead. It's not your fault that the house is worth more now than when you bought out your siblings. I would point out that all three of you invested your inheritance in different ways, and yours is the only one that paid off financially. Not the bonehead. Repeat after me or face a lifetime of this BS over and over again. I'm old and learned the hard way that leeches only ever demand more and come to feel entitled to and resent your success no matter how much money you give them. Tell them we each got the same amount of money. You both made the adult decision to spend your share. I kept my share invested wisely. No one is entitled to the proceeds of my investments, just like I'm not entitled to a third of your boat or Maserati. The proceeds from my good financial choices will all go to my children, as I am the adult responsible for their care. No one will take away 1 cent from my kids' college fund because other adults made poor financial choices. We all started with the same amount of money. You could all have bought houses, stocks, etc. with your shares. You chose not to. No one else is responsible for your choices but you. Moving forward, I don't expect this to be an issue ever again. The next time someone tells me that they're entitled to my children's money will be the last conversation I have with that person. Me and my husband are retired. We have 2 kids that both have families. We worked really hard to have a stable retirement. Our kids are all grown up and have their own kids. Now, my youngest got remarried and the guy had 2 kids from a previous marriage. All of our grandkids have money from us in their names. It's about $50,000 each. Before this, we only had 3 grandkids in total. Now my daughter wants us to give the new grandkids the same money, and I said no. One reason is that they're 14 and 15. 2, they have their own grandparents to spoil them. 3, my daughter is on her 3rd marriage, and I'm not throwing money at kids that may be out of my life in a few years. Seriously, one marriage lasted for 1.5 years. I don't have much hope in this one. We got into a huge argument about me not treating her kids like our bio-grandkids, and I stated the reason I don't want to. She called me a jerk and told me not to contact her if I don't change my mind. Now for some comments. Your logic seems reasonable to me. And the bottom line is, it's your money. No one is entitled to it. She threatened to cut you off? Vaya con Dios, not the bonehead. Not the bonehead. Ask your daughter if her child's step-grandparents are adding money to her kid's college fund. She really is ridiculous. As long as you treat her stepkids nicely and welcome them into the family, that's all you need to do. Not the bonehead. Why should you give 100 grand to people that you just met? Your daughter is off her rocker. Is your daughter insane? You don't know these kids really. They have their own grandparents, as you've said, and beyond that, you are allowed to not feel as close to them to hand out $100,000. Do the stepkids' grandparents treat your daughter's kids similar to the bio ones? Not the bonehead. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you like these stories, please consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.